So,
Good day, everyone. This is Akeem Sami of Sami Arts. We have a special treat to interview Grandmaster Steven Barnes. He is a multi-talented artist, per se. And I think the biggest thing for me is that you have so many capabilities to express yourself in art. And there's so many different incarnations, it seems like. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from?
yeah, I was born and raised in what my sister refers to as Northwest South Central Los Angeles, uh, and I was raised by my mother and my sister without my dad there, so I had a lot of bullying when I was younger, and
Mm.
so the martial arts came directly out of that, the wish to not be living my life in fear. But what I always the thing that was closest to my heart as an identity was being a writer. I always wrote stories, drew cartoon books, and things like this. So the question that I had three questions. How can I not be afraid? How can I live to express myself? How can I find someone to love?
Hmm.
I wanted a family to love. I wanted to be a martial arts master, and I wanted to be a professional novelist, a professional writer, and it took me a very long time. I mean, I had to really focus on those things and also to refine my definitions of what those things meant. So we can discuss that. The question of what is art, what is mastery, what is success, things like this. I think that you have to define these terms so that it's like the language that you use to define your goals are the rules of the game that you're playing. Make sure to set up the game that you're playing so that you can win. Make sure that you set it up so that if you give everything you've got every day, I mean, you can accomplish almost any goal if you give it everything you got every day for a decade. I mean, how many things can you not do if you do that? So what you want to make sure of is that you define your goals so that you define your game in a way that it is possible for you to win. Then you can wake up every morning thinking, what can I do today to win? And what can I do today to move another step towards my goal? And that's where excitement comes in. It's one of the places excitement comes in to have the dreams of a child and the wisdom of your grandparents, and then your adult is breaking their balls every day to work. So I think that that's a nice syntax because all of us will do anything for our kids, and all of us want to feel that our grandparents, our elders, are looking at us and thinking, "Yes, you're on the right path." Because it's so easy to get off the path. One of the things that is bad, when in a community that has broken family relationships, is you have 12-year-olds asking 15-year-olds what it means to be a man. Oh, please.
Wow. So do you believe that martial arts is a great tool to help people stay out of trouble, so to speak?
Well, it certainly can be. Absolutely. I think that the martial arts can be as valid a tool for self-discovery as anything else, and better than some because it deals so directly with issues of fear and power.
Do you notice?
Huh?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you? I wanted to ask you another question about martial arts in general, the ones that you've done. Did you notice a difference in the way that either of these martial arts lead you to, I guess, being able to fall into place to where you needed to be as a child?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start martial arts training until, my very first class was in high school, but I didn't start really training until I was out of high school.
Okay.
And what I noticed was that there were places that could teach you physical skills, and there are places that could teach you sort of meditative skills. And there's some that had, philosophies about life. And then there's some where, you could learn how to win in a tournament, and others where you could learn how to hurt somebody on the street. But none of the arts had all of it. None of them. And so it was like once you got that, there was no Shaolin Temple equivalency for our culture. Once you got that, then you either say, well, is it all nonsense? Or no, it's wonderful, but I'm going to have to do some outside research. I'm going to have to look and say, well, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? I want to complete myself as a human being. I want to be awake. I want to be aware. I want to be motivated by love more than fear. What do I need to do that? And so the disciplines, there were I had to go to lots of different disciplines in order to get it. But then I eventually, once it all clicked, it was all very, very nice. I mean, it was stuff I got from yoga and things I got from meditation disciplines, things I got from Christianity, things I got from, from Tai Chi and Tang Sudo, not Tang Sudo, but Hapkido and Taekwondo and Zendoryu and Aikido and this and this and this and this. And each of them had pieces of it, but all of them were, what you're really looking for there are answers to two questions. There are only two questions that human beings can basically ask themselves, or that artists can ask themselves. Who am I? And what is true? Each martial art, each discipline asks you to examine those questions from a slightly different point of view. Who am I? Who am I when I put this uniform on? Who am I when I sit down to write? Who am I when I'm making love to a beautiful woman? Who am I when I'm learning this? Who am I when I'm teaching that? There is some connective point there. And I think it simply takes a certain amount of time asking yourself that question in all these different contexts until the answers stop being lots of different things. The answers start connecting. I intimated to you that I'm the way I am right now from the time I wake up in the morning. First thing I do once I realize I'm awake is I get started getting back on the Steve train. It's like, I literally say, who is Steve? Oh, that's right. Steve is a person who is aligned, his child self, his adult activities, and his ultimate spiritual values are all aligned. What does Steve need to do that? Let me sit up and start visualizing these things. What do I need to do okay, once I visualize those things, what do I need to do? What are my goals, my long-term goals? What do I need to do today in order to make those goals happen? Who do I need to be in order to do those things to make those goals happen? Bang, click it back in with who I am as a child, who I am as an adult, who it is that I will be on my deathbed. Okay, bang, 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 bang. Okay, good. Is that right? Okay, I'm ready to get out of bed. So I get out of bed and then I do other things. My morning ritual where I do Tai Chi while I'm literally chanting aloud all the things I'm grateful for, the things I'm going to accomplish, today, and the people that I love. I'm so grateful for the people who love me and trust me, for my son Jason and my daughter Nikki and my beautiful, brilliant wife Tananari. But literally, I will say this out loud every single morning, 6 days a week. So it's not an accident. You talk about how I'm passionate. This is not an accident. I clean my pipes every morning. It's what I call being a room temperature superconductor. I take the kinks out of my wiring. I try to have this direct connection between the little child who had that Buddha baby energy that said, earth below, heaven above, no one in the world like me, and my grandparent on my deathbed at the end of life. No ego, no bullshit, none of that stuff, not chasing women, not chasing money, right. Asking what was most important in life. Love, contribution, growth, clarity, being right in the eyes of the universe or in the eyes of God, however you see it, because you're about to go there. You're about to lose all the physical stuff. So whatever it is that the Christians put it as, only one life that soon is past, only what's done for God will last. That's a way of saying things that can also be found probably in every other religion in the world, and also philosophies. What are the things that last? What was the shape of your face before your parents were born? Those questions are your spiritual questions, and then you make sure that they line up with your passion, and then you make sure that your adult activities on a day-to-day basis just line up with both of those, and you got it covered. When your daily actions are in alignment with both your childhood dreams and your deathbed values, you've won the game.
So that explains why you're such an avid writer. It seems like you're very, very passionate about your writing, and science fiction writing of all things.
Yes, it is. It's true. And it's what I do. I do it every day. And I juggle multiple projects. I do the stuff. I always do the low-hanging fruit. What's fun about this project? What's fun about this project? I just do the fun stuff. And what happens is that if you do the fun stuff first, the hard stuff starts being fun. So I just pick the low-hanging fruit. What is the easiest thing for me to say about this project? And the least I have to do in order to move forward on a project is one sentence a day. That's all I have to do. One sentence a day and I win. I do one sentence and I declare myself a winner. Because if I do that, then the demons in your head that try to discount you cannot get purchase on you, because you've defined the bar so low in terms of that you can win every single day. So that is my goal. I want to win every single day.
And I believe that you have a webinar about writing. And you mentioned the one sentence. I even attended one of your webinars last week. And I believe you were saying something to the effect of, if you have trouble even getting there, there's other levels that you can use to build yourself up to that level. You know,
That's
there's this self-defeating energy.
Break it down and break it down. Let's say in the martial arts, I was dealing with so much fear and pain. It took me 17 years to earn my first black belt. 17 years. It was like, you know, it was killing me, man. But victory for me was make it to class one more time. You know, if I got knocked down, if I was too scared to go back to class, if whatever it was that was bothering me, because I had actual phobic stuff around aspects of the arts, I could get knocked down, and it might take me weeks sometimes to get myself back together. But I would. And if I couldn't go back to a particular school because it was just too tough for me emotionally, I'd find another school. I would find somewhere. I'd be like Wata, my friend.
Yes, I love Bruce Lee. I love that concept.
I trained for 3 years with Danny Inosanto, who was, you know, Bruce's heir apparent. And those were, you know, in terms of fun, it was primarily Filipino martial arts. Danny Inosanto is arguably, for reasons I could justify if I went into it, is one of the people in the category. I've noticed I'm qualified this. He may be the greatest martial arts instructor who ever lived.
Wow.
Not just because of his intelligence, although he is brilliant. Not just because of his capacities, although they're extremely high. Not just because of a teacher like Bruce Lee, although that's certainly an advantage. It's because of his positioning in time and space. That being on the West Coast, he has access to the Pacific Rim and all those different martial arts. Being in the 20th century, he has access to modern communications, transportation, and information retrieval. So he could look at videotapes of masters from around the world, whereas somebody at Danny's level of integration and energy and so forth, who lived a century ago, you know, so there's some guy in a Shaolin temple someplace whose nervous system is the greatest in the world. He doesn't have access to African martial arts. He doesn't have access to Western boxing. He has access to what's being taught in that temple. That's it. So there's a great deal of limitation. So I had this opportunity to be in the presence of this man, you know, 3-4 times a week for 3 years, and to just study. And, you know, it was a fantastic, and hear stories about Bruce, and, you know, to understand the truth of what that was, as opposed to the cinematic image or the academic image or the legends. Quite an experience, quite an opportunity. I really treasure that.
And that was with, was it Kali, or is it Salat?
No. Well, he certainly would teach some Salat, because Kali and Salat have a lot of commonalities. But it was primarily Filipino martial arts, a little Salat. We went through, you know, kickboxing, stick fighting, knife fighting, all that good stuff. You know, just it's all fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And in that form, his way of learning and teaching, did that inspire you to bring those capabilities to other aspects of your life, like, for instance, writing?
Well, you know, my martial arts stuff would make it into my writing, but the time that I trained with Danny was prior to the time that I kind of woke up concerning my arts. The guy who opened my eyes in that sense was a guy named Harley Swift-Deer Reagan. He taught Native American spiritual practices and also Shorinji Jiu-Jitsu, in which I have a brown belt, and Kodokan Judo, in which I have a black belt. And it was his teaching that taught me to connect mind and body. And then once I had done that, I was able to look at the other trainings and say, oh, this is what they were trying to get me to understand. So if I'd known Harley before I had a chance to train with Danny, then the answer would have been yes. I sometimes can go down and train with Danny when he's doing like a weekend seminar or something like that right now, which is just a fantastic experience. But it's too late for me to be looking at that because it's like whatever I've already got that level of integration. Whatever I'm doing is just chop wood, carry water. It's just another version of the same thing. I'm not looking for higher levels of integration. I'm on the path of higher levels of integration. It's not being complete. It's knowing where X marks the spot, and I know where my shovel is. So I don't need a teacher. I don't need someone to guide me. I need to buckle down and go out and dig. You know, I need to do the work, do the work, do the work. There's an infinite amount of work to be done. Not infinite. It's finite in terms of, well, I guess it's infinite because you're continuing to do it until you die. There is a particular body of work that I need to do for the next level of being that I want to achieve. That's kind of within myself, you know. So I'm not looking for teachers or systems anymore. I do love interacting with people who are further along the path than I am. And I know, you know, I have a blessed store of people who are so far down the path from me that they're over the horizon. I cannot see them. But what they're helping me do is to verify that the path under my feet is valid. I'm not looking for daddy in that sense. I'm just enjoying being able to speak with people who have seen different territory than I've seen, you know, who are willing to describe what the experiences of being, you know, where they are. It helps me to, you know, it's one of the things that I use to motivate myself. You know, don't you want to see that? Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to be able to guide other people there? It's cool.
Wow. And so that definitely explains why you're a multi-martial artist. You don't have to hail from one specific place of teaching.
If I could go back and if I could have gone back and revisited, restructured my martial arts training, I would have stayed in one art until I was about a 3rd degree black belt. And then I would have gone out and explored other things. Because if you study a whole bunch of different things, then each of them it's like if the gold you're looking for is 20 feet under the ground, you don't dig a bunch of 3-foot holes. You stay, 50 feet of 3-foot holes will not get you to the gold. One hole that is 20 feet deep will get you to the gold. And once you've got the gold, you can go and you can experiment digging other places. You know, it's interesting. The gold is there. It's there in any of the different arts. It's in some ways, you know, it's there no matter what you do. You go deep enough into just taking care of your family, you emerge into truth. You go deep enough into writing, you emerge into truth. Meditation. Martial arts are one vehicle. But if I had stayed in one art for the first 10 years, 12 years, I'd be a better martial artist than I am. I did the best I could, Akeem.
Yes, sir.
I brought everything that I had. If I had had different tools, better tools, I would have brought those. But the martial arts gave me everything that they promised that they would. If there was any flaw in the situation, it's just that I was dealing with my limitations as a human being. But I'm very happy I guess I'm really, really happy that I never quit.
Yeah.
That is enormously satisfying.
That's a big thing. And that being an artist, who's to say that you just go to one art? I mean, like, for instance, just looking at Kung Fu alone, there's said to be 360 styles. It's meant to match exactly your thinking pattern. Yes. There's only so many ways you can punch and kick.
And what's going to happen is that I think everybody who really finds that place will create their own art, because they can't do somebody else's art. You have to be, you got to do you. So if let's say I had wanted to make martial arts the way that I made a living, well, I would have put a lot of the energy that I put into other things into the arts. And I wouldn't be able to teach Kempo the way I was taught it, or Judo, or whatever. It would have to be Steve Fu. It would have to be. It would have to be the question, how do I deal with something? When something comes up, how do I think about it? How do I deal with stress? How do I deal with fatigue? How do I deal with fear? How do I conceptualize motion?
Wow.
Those things that what I would want to give my students is, well, when I went to these wonderful teachers who were on fire and they caught me on fire, I can't pass their fire to you. I have to pass my fire to you. If I'm being a real teacher, I'm not going to, I can teach you the structures of an art so that you've got the sort of the kinesthetic cookie cutter, so you can learn how to stand, you can learn how to move, you can learn how to generate power, you can learn this, you can learn that. But there's another point at which that none of that stuff will save your ass in a street fight. What will save you in a street fight are attributes. Attributes of courage, perception, speed, strength, power, explosiveness. Those attribute balance, those attributes will save you. And each of these different arts has a different combination of these attributes that you do, but none of them are about use this art. They're about you do you. Somebody attacks you, you do you. If you understand leverage better than application of force, better than physiology, better than psychology, your combination of these things are what will get you home safely to your children at night. The art will not save you. You may save you using the attributes that you developed in your art.
Oh, that is beautiful. And that implies a very academic perspective there. It seems to go in. Oh man, that brings me right into where I was going to. Yeah. You went to Pepperdine University in LA? I guess for those also who are listening in LA, Pepperdine University is a very well established university. I'd want to say that there is a doctor, I guess you were sound man for Pepperdine University, is that right?
No, I managed the audiovisual department at Pepperdine University, which means that a guy named Richard Paulf had been the manager that, that would send out the projectors and stuff like that. And I was working at the bookstore at the time, if I recall properly. And he came to me, and we'd known each other. I forget exactly how we'd known. Maybe, I forget. Well, I guess we'd just gone to college at the same time. And he said, listen, I lost my guy over the sound department. And if you would like to work with me, then I'll make a deal with you. If you will get your work done early, I'll let you spend the rest of your time in there working on anything you want to. I know you're a writer. So you'd have a lot of time to just write, but you do all the work, and Richard was not a real physical guy. So I took that deal, and I would get my work done as early as possible. And I would spend the rest of the day. I could spend 6 hours in a day working on my novel because I would get my work done in the first 2 hours, so I took that opportunity. And that was a fantastic opportunity for me in terms of getting paid to sit there and pound out my first novel.
Okay, well, let's go back for a minute. I want to ask you a question on the academic side. Sure. How did you establish your strong work ethic as far as your study habits, as far as getting the work that you needed to get done in a timely fashion so you could get onto the artwork, the creation aspect after you go through what someone taught you?
Okay. My mom got me started in sort of success thinking, Think and Grow Rich, Power Positive Thinking, Psycho-Cybernetics, The Golden Key, and so forth, the Strangest Secret, and Maxwell Maltz, and Napoleon Hill, and all these guys. And she would play these things to me over and over and over again. And so it just kind of got into me, the idea that you become what you think about, that you are what you do every day. If that is true, then you want to do these things. But if you continue down that road, one of the things that you do is you study the lives of other people who have succeeded at the things that you want. And one of the things that kept coming up is that they have efficient use of time. So it's like they want to expend the minimum energy to accomplish the maximum result. They want to spend as many hours a day doing that, focused on the thing that will get them the things that they want. As possible. That means really clear goals. That means efficient actions. And that sense of efficient actions, if you're in writing, they will talk about how you should use, you should have no extra words in a sentence, no extra words in a poem. In art, they teach you no extra lines or dabs of paint on the page, except that what you accomplish a given result. Wow. Same thing in the martial arts. What is the minimum action that will accomplish the maximum result? How efficient with your energy and time can you be? So I looked at these different things, and everybody was saying the same thing, that you want to do the amount of energy, you want to do the amount of work that it takes to accomplish something, but no more than that. Why would you want to do more than what's necessary to do what you do? Do what you need to do. You can use that energy off someplace else. If there are three things that I care about, why do I want to waste energy on my writing that I could put into my martial arts, or waste time on my martial arts that I could put into helping my son with his homework, or playing with my cat, or being with my wife? So it's I've got 24 hours in a day. How do I make them the most efficient and effective? So to that end, I couldn't even tell you the number of books and essays and articles and podcasts and recordings and lectures I've been to about time management. And there was one book called How to Get Control of Your Time in Your Life by Alan Lacon, I guess it is. Really great book, out of print. But the last 3 pages of the book are like a condensation of all of the rest of the principles in the book, so I could focus on those. So just over time, I began to say, well, how can I get more done in less time and have fun? How can I get more done in less time and have fun? And so if you ask yourself questions like that every day, you come up with answers. Okay, I can do this. I can prioritize. I can make sure that I'm getting the most out of my time. I can make sure that I'm wasting as little time as possible. Well, the problem with that, of course, is that I love wasting time.
Well, let me ask you this. Would it really be considered wasting time if you allow time for a thought process that hasn't completely matured yet to mature?
It's more than that. That watching movies is work for me. Oh, it's a tough job, but but somebody's got to do it. Stretching is fun. Reading comic books can be fun. Can be work. If I understand, your brain does not grow. Your muscles don't grow while you're exercising. Your muscles grow while you're resting. They grow while you're asleep at night. So once you have triggered the urge to grow, you have to rest in order to sharpen. Okay. You have to. If you cut rest out of the equation, you literally won't get stronger. So, knowing that, I make sure that, it's like I love binge watching stuff on Netflix, and, I will sit with my computer like yesterday. There were like 4 or 5 different, oh God, I can't even, the number of different things I had to do to accomplish. I had to kind of go down a list. In working on a project on women in STEM fields, and I needed to do a trance for that. I also have a master hypnotist certificate in Ericksonian hypnosis. So I'm creating what's called a hypnoperipheral processing. It's a pair of what's called therapeutic metaphors, 2 different teaching stories that teach some specific things to women specifically on dealing with the imposter syndrome, in their head. And so there's 2 different stories, and I'm going to record them so that one goes in one ear and the other one goes in the other ear, because you can't concentrate on both at the same time. So because you cannot, the part of you that is trying to not learn, not grow, not change, can only focus on one at the time. So if I focus over here, this story's getting it. If I focus over there, that story's getting it. There's higher levels of sophistication, but I have to actually time 2 columns of story. So I would get my computer and I would work using Microsoft OneNote because it enables me to create parallel lines, and I'm watching television at the same time.
Yes.
I forget what I was watching. I think I might have been watching Birth of the Dragon, that thing about Bruce Lee fighting Long Jack. And I'm working at the same time. And if I am in the right place, then there's a part of my brain that's working while there's another part of my brain that's resting. And I'm occupying the part of my brain that otherwise would be saying, this is boring. I don't want to do this. And so, okay, watch the movie while I'm over here working.
I thought I was the only one who did that.
No,
people look at me strange for stretching while I'm writing, or stretching while I'm doing some sort of other activity or task like meditating, or I believe in walking meditation. Martial arts, actually, I thought of martial arts that way. You could be in the middle of doing a pose and you're meditating. Half of your mind is working on the artistic aspect. The other half is calming and going to the nap of the earth state, There
you go. You have to find your own way to your source of aliveness. And no path, religions and philosophies and so forth, they're sort of like over-the-counter medications. They're okay. They work at a certain level, but eventually you're going to have to become your own apothecary. You're going to have to compound your own medicines.
Tao of the you food.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You have to do you. You have to understand. You have to take from all the different things. You have to ask yourself not what do the followers of the master do, but what did the master do? Bruce Lee sought to complete himself. What motivated him, at least part of it, was feeling that the world saw the Chinese as being weak. He wanted to give the beauty of the Chinese people to the world. He wanted no one to ever think he was weak. Because he grew up in a situation where the Chinese had been dominated by the British, by the Japanese, by the English. You saw that coming out in movies like The Chinese Connection. His fury at this. He drove himself with that. We Chinese are not sick men. Ultimately, he died for that. I mean, he basically worked himself to death.
Yes.
But I think that it was worth it to him. I think that the people who accomplish the most are either extraordinarily balanced or they are obsessive compulsive. I'm not sure that there's a third choice. I mean, the thing to do ideally is to seek to be extraordinarily balanced, because being an obsessive compulsive will destroy you. But I think that most of what we see when we see really accomplished people is obsessive compulsive behavior. If they manage to survive, if they manage to have healthy bodies and healthy relationships in addition to being successful in their careers, that's a person of extraordinary balance, and that's somebody you want to study. How do they do that? That's really worthwhile. It's relatively easy to push everything you are into one corner, and that's all you are. You can be the biggest guy in the gym and the best fighter in the school. If you're broke, sleeping in your car and have no relationships, and all you're doing is working out, that's easy.
Yeah, and this actually reminds me of the story of Bodhidharma, how he had traveled from India to China to meet the Shaolin monks. And at the time, the Shaolin didn't believe in Zen. They were a different belief system. However, what he introduced, aside from one of their first fighting systems, is meditation. Because when he got there, he noticed that the Shaolin monks had a death sentence. Basically, it was assumed that you dedicate your life into this until you die. So they would train with very little meditation, and they would just drop dead from exhaustion from all the training. So as a direct result, his first teaching to them was how to become nap of the earth, how to relax, how to calm, how to fill your heavenly stem with energy, how to refurbish yourself so you can get right back to work, and this time at a higher level. I thought that was pretty interesting because, I mean, I'm hearing that you're talking about recharging your batteries in a very similar way. And the thing I think is pretty cool about what you're saying is that you can recharge in one area while progressing in another area. It's like when you're sleeping, you can listen to something motivational. You can probably listen to yourself.
Look, there be dragons. There is danger in that. I think that you need time that's just completely off. In other words, I could listen to, and I have listened to, subliminal tapes while I'm sleeping, but you know something? I think you need time that is just completely off. I think that over the long term, you're going to get better results from that. Yeah, I will multitask, I will do this while I'm doing, but I am aware that's a little bit compulsive. I balance on that edge. I want to be careful with that. So I have a bunch of different indicators to let me know when I'm pushing too hard. In other words, like if my throat feels sore in the morning, if my joints don't feel totally rested, if I'm not writing fluidly, if my sex drive drops, any number of different things that are indicators that something is wrong. And I think that I want those safety rails, on my life, because I have this intent. I intend to be around for a long time. And I'm very aware that I'm compulsive enough that I could burn myself out. So I'm careful about that. You need, how much downtime do you need? You need as much as you need. What are the clues that you need? Are you getting sick? You feel healthy? You feel good when you wake up in the morning? You feel optimistic? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? This, and this. If those standards are met, then you can push yourself harder. But it's a little bit like Scott Sonnen, who's a tremendous martial artist and a tremendous teacher of disciplines that relate to that, talks about how your pain level should never go above a 3 out of 10, and you should be aiming at a level of perfection and motion at a 7 and above. Only if you've got your pain down below a 3 and your form above a 7 can you push your intensity above a 6. So he's created a bottle for, so that you can get hotter and hotter and you won't burn yourself out. And I think you kind of need something like that in your life. How do you know when you're healthy? That health and fitness are not the same things.
Did you learn that from yoga? Did you find yourself like observing that detail, being able to observe yourself mindfully by yoga, or at least?
The answer would be yes. That and other things too. There are too many teachers, too many paths. Man, I was the kind of person, I would drive 2,000 miles to spend 15 minutes with somebody who could give me an answer, and I would do that. And I looked for answers to the question, who am I and what is true about this, the path inside the paths, the path inside the disciplines, what these things are doing. And what happened is I eventually met enough people who pointed in the same direction. I got X marks the spot. And so now I can just focus on digging. I'm not looking for additional knowledge. I'm looking for I'm looking to deepen my truth. I'm looking to throw away my illusions rather than to gather ideas. I've reached that point in my life. So yoga, for instance, if there was one thing in yoga that I got that was the most important thing, it might be that you follow the thread of your breath. As long as the thread of your breath is consistent, unbroken, even if it gets intense, as I go into a pose, that the pose exists for the breathing. The breathing doesn't exist for the pose. It's like, imagine that thread of breath, and a pose is just taking that thread of breath and knotting it into this form, like you're making a balloon animal. And now I'm going to knot it into this form. And now I'm going to knot it into this form. But the breath has to remain smooth. As long as you can keep the breathing smooth, you can't hurt yourself. That before you hurt yourself with a yoga pose, you'll start going, or hold your breath. But if it's smooth, your body is safe. That single thing, if I got nothing more than that out of 30 years of yoga practice, that would have been worthwhile. That is a fantastic knowledge.
Well, the other thing that surprised me about yoga, I first started studying hatha yoga while I was in homeschool. I actually homeschooled from the 3rd grade through 12th grade. And with yoga, it was introduced at the age of 14, so I was a high schooler. And the biggest thing for me with yoga and doing hatha yoga specifically is I thought I wasn't going to get an exercise. I thought it's all about stretching, but I was sweating profusely just standing in one pose.
Right.
One pose.
Yoga is, especially if you combine it with rope yoga or club swinging. I would consider it the single most complete discipline on the planet that is available to the general public. There are undoubtedly some things that are at higher levels, but the Bikram yoga series, which is just 30 or whatever it is poses, they can be taught to you by a guy who isn't even very good, but it's in the hot room and you go through this particular sequence and he's memorized the things that he's telling you. That is an incredibly powerful discipline all by itself. A Tai Chi teacher actually needs to be able to do Tai Chi, but a yoga teacher can actually just kind of correct you. So there are things that you can do with yoga that are like putting your body up on blocks, or up on the rack at an auto supply place. And you can look at how these things are. You slow down, stop, hold this pose. Every yoga pose is a little bit like a tone poem. There is a feeling that comes from doing it properly. And you search for that feeling. And in the easier poses, you can find that feeling easily. In the other poses, your ego will get in the way. It'll be like, well, how come I can't stretch like that 13-year-old cheerleader down there? You know, how come I can't do what I did when I was 18? You know, because you can't.
Yeah, you know what? That brings me to a really good question for you. And this is something that I've started to realize. Now, while I am aging in normal progress, I also got into a car accident, which seemed to amplify things a little bit.
Yeah.
It enhanced more mindfulness and awareness of my body's condition. And I also noticed, I can actually notice and feel my body's rate of decay.
Yes.
Now, in feeling that, did you, as a martial artist, choose to switch to a different art, or did you just modify how you practiced the art or arts that you practice?
A little bit of both. Like, if my primary focus is on my writing, and martial arts gets into secondary focus, I notice that, you know, I don't like getting hit in the face anymore. I have no interest in getting hit. You know, I'm not interested in getting slammed into the mat anymore. That stuff used to be fun. It's not entertaining anymore. Because, you know, damage that I used to shake off in 48 hours, you know, my body still feels it 6 months later. And so it's like, you know, oh, okay, that door is closed. So there are things that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do hard style martial arts. I have no interest in marching up and down the floor or, you know, just, you know, doing things. It's like, not interested. Real tremendous value, tremendous, you know, wonderful things, but that's not me at this point in my life. Well, what is me? I like more fluid movement. Well, what do I like that's fluid but also efficient and effective? I find that I'm kind of leaning more towards back towards the Filipino arts again. You know, Kali and Eskrima and so forth, because of the fact that there's a fluidity in the movement. You know, so it makes sense on the level of physics. You know, because you know, your body is not designed to move in a straight line. It cannot move in a straight line. You can spin off longer and longer curves from it, but you can't make it a straight line. Your joints are creating rotary momentum. You know, turning rotary into linear momentum, like a side kick or a reverse punch. There's always shearing force on your joints, and not interested. I think that that's really, really great when you're a teenager and you're in your 20s. But even by the time you're in your 30s, I think that it might be a good idea to be shifting to something that's more circular. So, and then in terms of recovery from those things, I strongly suggest yoga, because I don't see anything that is as good for recovery as yoga. So, your task is going to be to continually ask yourself, what's your purpose here? Why are you doing it? You know, why are you doing it? Be sure that you understand that, and that you're doing the minimum necessary to accomplish the thing that you want, because the rest of your energy should be going into your life. I mean, in other words, like your martial skills are not directly preserving your family. You know, if you live in a situation where people are attacking all the time, you need a gun. You know what I'm saying? I mean, God willing and the river don't rise, I will never have to physically respond to anybody again for the rest of my life. And if I do, I'm going to hit them with a chair. You know, it's like one of my teachers said, you're a primate, use a tool. I mean, it's like, I'm not interested in who's toughest. I'm not interested in what you know. I'm not interested in you being impressed by what I know. I'm just impressed with getting home alive.
Alive. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get home, you know?
Well, I noticed that you also, you're a student in self-defense pistol shooting, right?
Well, I was. That's one of the things that I studied under Kit Turnipseed, who trained Steven Seagal, for God's sake. You know, which led to my having a very interesting lunch with Steven Seagal on one occasion.
I can only imagine.
Oh yeah. This was right after he did Above the Law. I was so impressed by him in that movie. I'd never seen that kind of movement in a film. I thought that he could even act, you know, sufficiently that it was like, wow, this is interesting. he's got something. But it kind of turned out that Andrew Davis, who had directed the movie, surrounded him with good actors, let him pretty much be himself, and probably took, just goaded him until he got the performance he wanted, and then assembled it in the editing room, because the man cannot act. The man cannot act, and he has believed too much of his own mythology.
Yeah, I'd heard that. Now, let me also ask you this. Was it great screenwriting, like what you and your wife, Tananarive, do as well?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, screenwriting in some ways is the highest form of writing on the planet, in some ways. It certainly is the most remunerative. It's the most profitable. It's one of the only places that you can actually get if you go on staff in a television series or on a studio, you can actually get a paycheck for writing. Now, how many other places, can you get a paycheck for writing fiction? The number of people who will see your work is higher than anything else. I mean, a billion people have seen my television writing. I wrote for Baywatch. Baywatch had a billion viewers.
You did the Outer Limits as well, I noticed.
No, Outer Limits didn't have anything close to that kind of audience. The Baywatch was a phenomenon. And at their peak, Baywatch was unreal. I mean, they were just amazing. Like, did a billion people worldwide. Outer Limits had, hundreds of thousands. Just not the same thing at all. But also there is a spareness, a condensation of intent in screenwriting, where you have to craft every image, every word. Playwriting takes dialogue to a higher level than screenwriting. There's no question about that. But the images are so powerful that they can go past cultural barriers with a minimum of modification. So you can create images that are impacting the world consciousness in ways that books cannot, and radio cannot, comic books do not. There is something going on there. We're building a world culture by saying these are the images that represent my human experience. The person says, "Oh, I feel that. These are the images that represent my experience." And when those things, when it goes both ways, you suddenly say, "Oh, I see you. I understand you differently than I did before." And that, I think, is a very good thing for humanity.
Seems very powerful. So, actually, I'm noticing you actually co-host a show with your wife, Tananarive Du. She's also a screenwriter and a UCLA professor.
Yes, she is.
Wow, and I understand that this is a show about Afrofuturism, the term Afrofuturism, which is being used for this movie that's lately coming out in February, Black Panther. Exciting movie, very exciting. There's so many great messages in there. I want to get into that with you. What is Afrofuturism?
Afrofuturism is the science fiction, fantasy, and to a certain degree horror, I mean, it's a branch term, of the African diaspora. In other words, the children of the diaspora, especially those who did not voluntarily immigrate, who were brought to the Americas, and in terms of America, Black Americans may be the only human beings on the planet who don't have a mythology that connects them directly to God. Because every other people, including Africans, have a mythology that says God made them first and loves them best. The Jews have it, Christians have it. Japanese are all related to the emperor, and he's related directly to God. On and on and on. God made us first, loves us best. Black Americans had their language, their religions, their history, their names ripped away from them, and then they were given Christianity. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm Episcopal. I don't have a problem with that, because I see the thread of truth that lies in there. Right. But it is a beautiful piece of brainwashing to have oppressed people kneeling in church, rolling their eyes up so they're going into alpha state, imprinting on an image of a white man, an image of someone who looks like their oppressors. So your oppressors are therefore closer to God than you are.
Yes, and then the other perspective of making slavery okay based on a passage in the Bible.
Sure, that's right. I mean, look, slavery the fact I'm not a slave. Nobody in my family are slaves. So slavery does not bother me in my life as much as the mythologies that held slavery in place. Because the mythology that justified slavery is that Black people were natural slaves. Because the mythology of America is live free or die. Give me liberty or give me death.
Yes.
The mythology of America is a free man cannot be made into a slave. That's the mythology of America. It misses a lot of reality about what happens to human beings and how you can program human beings, the difference between nature and nurture. But given that mythology, if you cannot make a free man into a slave, then what were slaves? If America is a nation of free men, then can ex-slaves ever be a part of it if they're descended from people who let themselves be slaves, if the dominating mythology is that you can't turn a free man into a slave? That literally, like in 1938, I think it was, Encyclopedia Britannica literally just said, white people are the most intelligent, followed by Asians, and Black people are last. It said that in black and white in the damn Encyclopedia Britannica.
Wow.
That's the mythology that Black people were dealing with up until the late 60s.
Brainwashing.
1970, it started really breaking down when people finally decided, well, maybe they're fully human. Maybe.
Well, there was that other statement, like in baseball, that was said that, well, the African American, when they were talking about Jackie Robinson, I don't know if you've seen the movie 42. We're talking about movies. I like movies too. But the movie 42, for instance, it was a sort of reported a statement that African American people or Africanoid people features have a longer leg bone, which allows them to run faster somehow. It's just, it goes kind of into the same myths.
I tend to, there are two basic ways of looking at human beings. One is that we are unequal. The other is that we are equal. And I think that 99% of people fall into one camp or the other. Okay? And I think the most natural thing in the world to do is to say, my tribe is superior. Whether it's a genetic tribe, whether it's your family, my daddy is the smartest, my mommy is the prettiest, my dog is the best. I have the best school. Our gang is the best. Our city is the best. Our state is the best. Our country is the best. Our religion is the best. That is absolutely the default of the childlike human mind.
Yeah, competitive strife. Competitive strife, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the harder thing, the thing that is much more recent in terms of human history, is the idea maybe we're pretty much the same. And maybe it's our training later on that makes us different.
And probably the head start that one person would get that makes that difference, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's like if people say, well, Jane Fonda must have gotten the acting gene from Henry Fonda. Well, maybe, and on the other hand, maybe she watched her dad working. Maybe she heard her dad talking about acting at the dinner table. Maybe she got access to all those parties where she was around show business people. Maybe she had access to her dad's Rolodex so that when she wanted to start acting, she knew 100 different people who could make that happen. Maybe, that I think that we have this tendency to want to believe that there are people who are better than us and people who are worse than us. Maybe there's just us. Now, I'm not saying that there is not, that is 100% true. I'm saying that because the natural tendency is to believe that you and your people are better, that maybe I'm going to be closer to the truth if I start with the other default. What if I start with the default that we're basically just the same? That Black people are not stupid, white people are not evil, we're just people. Black people would have acted the way white people did. If we changed the history, white people would act the way Black people have if we changed the history. We're just people. What happens if we start from that, I think we get a lot closer to a truth. We get a lot closer to what it is that we are as people. When Tananarive and I teach the class, the Afrofuturism class, or the horror class, the sunken place, we're dealing with what happens, what what is true about human beings, well, what is true about the world, what is true is probably more Afrofuturism, that this is where we came from, this is what we are, this is where we're going. What does the world look like? What will the world look like in a century, 2 centuries? Because we're going to be a part of that. You could take a look at classic science fiction movies, and we're not a part of those universes. You can get a movie like When Worlds Collide, and you can see all the human beings who are being saved when Earth dies, and they're all white. Okay? So I know what white people thought about us. Not much. We didn't even figure in. They weren't thinking, let's leave out the Negroes. No, they didn't even consider us. It wasn't even an issue. We're saving all the people who are worth saving. What about these people over there? Oh, that's right. You're right. I didn't. It's like when George Lucas did not intentionally leave black people out of Star Wars and New Hope. As soon as somebody pointed out to him, they cast Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. These are not bad people.
Right. No.
They are people who are asleep. And as soon as you're asleep, you surround yourself in your dreams with things that look like you. It's nothing special. Everybody does it. It's the problem is when people do it and then deny that that's what they've done. Yeah. In other words, they say, "Oh, that doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, why would they be doing it all the time? They wouldn't want it to be done to their disservice. To hurt another human being is not really that different from just hunting and gathering. You're just going to take what they've got. This is why I love civilization and I love laws, because they keep people from doing, a certain number of people from doing that thing. If you've got something I want, I'm going to take it. To take something is kind of basic and human, and we train ourselves not to do that. So the problem wasn't with slavery was not that these things were taken from us. It's that the people who took them from us needed to justify what they had done. And they justified it by saying we were inferior. Yes. Justified it by saying they were serving us in the process. And they've justified it now by pretty much trying to say it never happened.
Yeah. I've heard that in recent legislation.
It never happened at all. And if it did happen, it was so long ago that it has no impact on what's going on now. So what's wrong with you people that you can't get your act together? By implications, it's the same implication that was used to justify slavery. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, avoidance is the key weakness of all humanity. And, there's no culture that is devoid of it. Everyone has some sort of avoidance going on.
Yes, absolutely.
About reality, about what's going on, about where to go with their lives. Yeah. And I think that actually goes right around to the beauty of arts. The moment that you shy away from something, isn't it because you find yourself doing something that's not natural and you're trying to cover it up? If you were an artist, then why don't you just be honest and say exactly what you feel and express?
Okay, unpack that. That is good. It was on a basic level, and the thing is, I will say things and I say them with a great deal of clarity. That doesn't mean I think that they are true. It means that I have myself set up so I can act quickly and make decisions quickly. If I do that, then I get information from the world if I need to make a correction. What I'm suggesting is not that people adapt my point of view, but that other people have points of view that are as clear to them as mine are to me. That is what will save your ass. Okay. So when I say these things, I'm not saying Steve knows. I'm saying this is Steve's position. Okay. So this is Steve's. And with that warning, I will then default to my position of sounding as if I think I know everything.
Well, I mean, you're very, very well explained. It's very clear, the things that you're saying. It's crisp. It's clear. It's based on observation. It's logical. Yes,
I've thought my shit out. It's as simple as that. I've thought these things through. I have answers for these things. Are those answers truth? Let's find out. Let's put them in the mix. Let's experiment and find out.
Put them in the mix. Well said.
So, why do we do something or not do it? Very simply, because there's more pleasure than pain associated with it. Why do we not do something? Because there's more pain than pleasure associated with it. It's as simple as that. You can teach worms to fandango. If you use pleasure and pain in the right way. I mean, it's not that difficult. So if you're an artist, you will do something in the arts if it feels good. And let's say, well, how does that explain why somebody would stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning and miss sleep and sacrifice in order? Those are all pain, aren't they? But then there must be a greater pleasure in self-expression. There's a
Wow.
greater pleasure in the act of creation. You would be willing to destroy your body, your relationships, your finances to have a moment of genuine art because you consider that to be divine. You know, the person who feels that way about their art is going to be working at midnight. You know, if you feel that way about your martial arts, you can be getting up in the middle of the night and doing kata. You know, you're gonna be, you know, in a bachelor pad with a couple other hermits who are just martial arts crazies, and you wake each other up at 3 o'clock in the morning and fight. I mean,
that's beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful.
That's what you do, you know. And I recognized that I had, like I said, I had that obsessive personality. And so what I'm obsessed with is being balanced, you know. So I can't let myself go too far in that direction. You know, I could live in a cardboard box in an alley if I had my word processor, you know, and a place to work out. You know, it's like I really could be that guy. I don't want to be a hobo. You know, I get that. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good husband. I want to, you know, recognize that my wife, who I adore, gave me her girlhood. She gave me the last years of her girlhood. She trusted me, you know, to walk the path of life with. I have to be there for her. I have to let her know that I adore her, that I recognize that she trusted me, and I want to be worthy of that trust. When my son was born, I literally did the roots thing and held him up to the sky and said, "Behold, the only thing greater than yourself." I did that.
Yourself. Oh, that's beautiful.
I promised God that I would deliver my son safely to his manhood. That's a sacred promise for me. So I cannot crawl up my own ass, you know, and disappear in a hermit hut, in a hermit cave of meditating or doing martial arts or writing, however much they may pull me. I cannot do that. I have to be here now in the world, because all we have to give each other is our presence.
And our time.
In our time. So an artist, I say art is self-expression. That craft is the language through which you express yourself to an audience. Art is successful if the person on the other side of the communication feels the emotions that you felt when you created it.
It's a two-way street. Yes,
That's
sir.
Right. You have to, you know, that my martial art is to express my essence. I will survive. I have the right to be here. Through physical techniques of denying target, or conveying force to a target, selected to produce an effect called "leave me to hell alone." Hopefully that will don't hurt me. We can be friends. Let's be friends. Okay, that's the best outcome. Let's be friends. The worst outcome is just go away. I mean, the next best outcome is just go away. Maybe I give you my wallet and you just go away. Maybe you insult my mother, just go away. I don't care. She's dead. You can't hurt her. Just don't lay hands on my kids. Yeah. Don't lay hands on me. But words, you cannot say anything that would make me hurt you. You can't do it. The next thing is disarming the person, laying hands on them physically in some way. The next worst thing is having to hurt them badly. The worst thing is being hurt badly yourself. Unless being hurt badly yourself is what allows you to protect your family. That attitude of, I'm ready to die and I'm ready to take you with me. You know, if that's what I have to do for my family, then that's what I'll do. I will not fight over anything I'm not willing to die for. So therefore, people are either going to get this nice, friendly, open-hearted guy that I am right now, or they're going to get somebody who absolutely will fuck you up and will bite your throat out with his teeth and hit you with anything that happens to be around and grind you into the dust because you have let the beast out. You have given me no rational way to deal with you. You have given me 100% permission to kill you and get away with it. There's a part of me that would love to do that. There's a part of me that would
I think honestly
love to kill you.
I think there's a part that exists like that within all of us. Isn't there? There's a side that says that we have to protect either self-preservation or protect others. And I don't know about you, but the self-preservation part and the taking care of the family aspect seems to be two different things. There's a higher intensity
Yeah,
when
I'm
you're
asking
caring for your
you,
young, when you're caring for your family.
there's a difference between I will do what I have to do to protect my family and I'm going to enjoy killing and eating you. I'm going to love this. Thank you for letting me know. I have waited for this. Thank you. That part of you is the nightmare that nobody wants to deal with.
Right. And that's the idea, is to know that that exists. And if everyone assumes, if you're going to do something nefarious, you have to know that side exists. So maybe it will give you a moment of pause. Maybe you'll decide not to go to that house.
Look. I teach something that I call the 24-hour black belt. I can make anybody as efficient 24 hours as the average black belt is after 4 or 5 years of training. It's easy. What you would do is, actually, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, yes, I will. Story tell part of it. You were saying, "Oh no, please, can I?" I made you want it. Implied I'm going to take it away, and now I've got your attention.
I'm like looking for that web link on the bottom. Click here.
www.24hourblackbelt.com. You'll understand why I would not teach this for money in just a second. What you would do is you would spend a day sitting by yourself thinking about what would you be willing to die for, the values you'd be willing to die for, and be sure that you never fight for anything less than that. The second thing is the following focus, the following belief, the following affirmation. You do not say this to the person. You're thinking this, feeling this, and it has to be real. And what you're thinking and feeling is, no matter who you are, no matter what you know, no matter what you do to me, I'm going to take the left eye out of your head. Now, given the fact that I'm absolutely going to do that, whether you kill me or not, is it worth it? You do not say it, because if you say it, you challenge their ego. But if you're feeling it, if that's what you're thinking inside, they feel it. And it's a direct animal-to-animal communication. If, like Sun Tzu says, you always give your opponent a path to retreat honorably. Treat the person politely,
yes, nicely,
with courtesy, real respect, and your attitude is, I'm willing to lay my life before you, but I will blind you. Now,
absolutely.
can we be friends? Can I buy you a beer? Let me give you the money that's in my wallet. I don't want this to happen. You're probably a nice guy, and I'm a nice person. I would live, don't you?
Right.
Just you give them the sweetness and the niceness and the calmness, but underneath that is that 100% conviction. Everything I am, I'm going to put into one thing: taking the left eye out of your head, no matter what it costs me. The left eye out of your head.
And that mentality alone.
That's it.
That's it.
Because they can feel it. You just an awful lot of what the martial arts are just flipping the switch between being prey and predator, between being herbivore and carnivore. An awful lot of it is nothing more than that. It's not, oh, please don't hurt me too. I'm going to hurt you. Now, if I'm going to hurt you and I do that on an ego level, now if you're not going to hurt me, yeah, I'm going to hurt you. You're not going to hurt me. Yeah, and now you and Tank Abbott are out in the alley and he's killing you. If, on the other hand, Tank Abbott is doing this thing, you're Tank Abbott. Man, oh man, you are one of the strongest, fiercest. Can I buy you a beer? You are the man. I wouldn't last a second with somebody like you. You are so impressive. He now has no reason to hurt you. In fact, he has a reason to like you. Because if you're a good guy, then your high opinion of him makes him feel even better. You don't push people into positions where they need to hurt you to feel good. What I want is to make every person, and this is why I genuinely come from a position of loving people. I love them. I love babies, and they were all babies at one time.
Someone's son.
That's right.
Someone's son.
That's right.
Someone's brother, sister.
That's exactly right. And so all the martial arts stuff, that's all there, man. It's all real. I love practicing killing people. I love it. I don't practice fighting anymore. It's like, I can kill you this way, and I can kill you this way. This is so much fun. I'm just feeding that part of me the raw meat. But then it goes back in the cave. and I spend the rest of my time just, how much love can I give the world? How much can I make the world a better place? What can I do? Who can I help? You know, how do I earn my air today? You know, that's what this was all about. You know, that's why I got into it in the first place. It was never about being the baddest dude. I was never going to be the baddest dude. I'm not an alpha. I know how to kill alphas. I know how to deal with alphas. And so alphas give me respect because I give them respect.
Very simple.
It's very simple. And it's real. I'm not playing games. I genuinely do love them. You know, can we not have peace? Can't we live together? Please. You know, I'd like anything in the world more than taking a risk, you know, than dying, you know, because we couldn't get along. How do we do this? And because that's real within me, they can feel it.
Yeah, maybe that same person could be the one to help you stave off someone trying to attack your family.
Thank you. Because if you protect me, I'll protect you. I would stand between your child and harm. If I saw your child being bullied or wandering down the street, I would snatch them up because I care about you. Would you watch my family? Can we watch each other's backs? See, I am not trying to take his place on the hierarchy. I have given him no rational reason to want to hurt me. None. There's no rational reason this person would want to hurt me. The only reason he'd want to hurt me are irrational reasons. On some level, even he will know he's in the wrong. And then, if even he knows he's in the wrong, on some level, he doesn't want to win. On some level, what he's saying is, please kick my ass, Daddy.
I love it, sir.
Okay, if I must.
What can I say?
Now I can strike into his uncertainty.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I know we've gone over. I know your time is very valuable, Grandmaster Barnes, but I wanted to get you here to get to talk with you and get to pick your brain about a few things. There's still more to talk about. We've
another time, perhaps.
Definitely.
Listen,
I wanted
if your people want to know more about the way I think about these things, they can go to 5minutelifehacks.com or lifewritingpremium.com if they're writers, or if they're interested in horror, there's the realblackhorror.com, our classes. And there's lots of different things that I do, but they're all expressions of the same idea, you know, answering questions, what is true and who am I? Answer those questions and you turn any activity into a spiritual activity.
Oh, that's my favorite thing. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Grandmaster.
You take care.
Hopefully I look forward to another time, possibly talking a little bit more about some other subjects that, well, there's 3 big ones that you mentioned. Maybe we can get into one of those and
could be.
Segue into those.
We'll have a chance to meet one day and play a little bit.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
You know, like, I love energy drills, push hands type energy drills. I just love that stuff. That's
right. Yeah.
That's what I like. Whole body flow drills. We're just kind of starting in contact and then slowly ramp it up as long as we can keep the flow going. It's like doing tennis volleys. So I'm not interested in beating you. I'm interested in seeing how long can we get a good volley going.
Yes, it's about the energy transference.
That's right. That's right. That's what I love. That's what I just love. And then when it breaks down, then you slow down. You know, so that's what I love doing these days. It's like flow sparring, and then taking it up as intense as you can get it while still keeping the flow. As soon as the flow breaks down, slow it back down again. You learn faster than anything else I've ever seen. Really,
it's natural. It really is natural.
The next time you're fighting with somebody who doesn't understand flow, they're just leaving openings all over the place, and it's like, this is a joke. This is a joke. You know, so anyway, you take care, buddy.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.